they didn't activate or they got destroyed in the process. Fine. But as the war goes on, Reaper drones are starting to get shot down, shot down, shot down. And then now we're seeing that there was supposed to be a big bombing of today because I do remember Hexet said they're going to get hit hard today, and it didn't happen. So that tells me something made them have cold feet. It might be these Chinese radars. So this is my theory. They probably had the radars underground, all the most sophisticated, important hardware they had underground. And as the war continued on, maybe let the United States feel that they have air superiority or air supremacy, and then slowly bring the radars out, slowly bring out the surface air missiles, and slowly erode that confidence in air superiority. And because as the United States, because here's the thing, as you get more and more air superiority, you become more and more reckless in your bombing campaigns. You think you're safe, you could do whatever you want. You fly high in the air, you would do things that you would never otherwise do if your opponent had some real um, air defense. So what might have happened is they duped them into thinking that they have air supremacy. And then over the past 48 hours or so, 72 hours, they've slowly been bringing these raiders down, shooting down these drones, etc. So, which makes sense because we know that they're keeping all of their, most protected and best equipment underground for fear of it being destroyed. So we'll see what happens, but that's big news, dude. Because I've been trying to fucking work back and figure out why the hell the U.S. has been able to establish air supremacy when they purchased these Chinese radars, which are literally designed to counter American stealth. That's what they're made for. But
Yeah,
Andrew, you had some?
Yeah,
yeah, Myron.
just one
To
second, Andrew.
back up, this exactly Sully. Sully,
Andrew,
this is
Andrew,
backing up
Andrew, one
Myron.
second.
Oh.
Andrew, let me just quickly give some breaking news. It's important news, and then I'll add to what Myron said, and then I'll give it to you. So, breaking news, and it's actually very much linked to what we're speaking about. The US and Israel have bombed another girls' school in Iran. This time it's Shaghiya Girls' School. They once again applied two airstrikes using the double tap method on this girls' school. Ironically, apparently, if you look 33 seconds into the video, they actually one of the seems like some of the girls had written "Long live the Shah," so some of them support the Shah, and they're the ones who got bombed. So the girls' school in Iran, another one has been bombed. So what we are now 6 or 7 young girls' schools that have been bombed by Israel and the United States of America. So that's the latest news. In terms of what you said, Myron, there's what you call it again? Yeah, you're right. I did check it up. It was the what was it? We said again YLCAB. YLCAB, which is the long range surveillance radar system from China. And yeah, they use it in conjunction with the HQ9B. And just on that, coming back to the point you were saying, what it is with these radars, obviously, Iran is huge. So they can't cover the entirety of Iran. And so they have to select where they cover it. So what is quite clear is that what they've done is they've placed these radars in places where the important military capability is, whether it's the missile depots or the missile launch pads, and obviously those aren't in Tehran. You could because you just simply can't you simply are not able to buy enough to cover the whole country. And so what's happened is when the US and Israel probably for the first time has gone for the actual military targets, as in military sites that actually have the capability, that's when they've been blinded. So that's just one thing I wanted to add. But go ahead, Andrew, you're going to say something, and then we'll pass it back to Myron.
Yeah, Sully, Myron, to back you up 100%. We had Sully had about 4 days ago that Air Force veteran bomber with the bomber group, and he was saying the same thing. He said we do not have obviously the air superior, or not even close to it, and our stealth is not getting in. And this is a guy that had ambitions over Syria. He, whatever, but he's declined to come in from our commentary for obvious reasons. So, yeah, you got backup from boots veterans too, Myron and Sully. Thank you.
So it looks like they pulled out the Chinese technology now. Maybe they held back, or if maybe it failed in the beginning, but now they're starting to finally be utilized now.
No, Myron, I don't think they failed. I think they need to choose where to place it, and they've placed it where the key military sites are, as opposed to just they can't put it everywhere. It's not big enough.
So you don't think they would put some in Tehran to protect
No,
the leadership there? No.
no. I mean, basically, people can be replaced, and you can't cover everywhere. And if you want this, if you see it as a military war, I know like sometimes if we can get a bit emotional or whatever, and we need to cover like where the majority of people are. Obviously, you don't expect the other side to just go on killing sprees of human beings, but
Yeah, but I mean the leadership, at least where the because from what I understand in Tehran, there's like an area of town where like all the government buildings are at. Like, you don't think they have radars there at least?
no, I wouldn't put it there because they're just like government buildings. Like those, the amount it would expend to basically place it there, you got to everything's like risk and reward. So like, why would you use it up there where it's a much more of an easy target, and you could have infiltrators there as well, where rather than in the desert somewhere where you have your actual missiles, which is going to help you win the war long term. Like humans can be like, I know it sounds horrible, but you kill a leader, he can. I mean, they killed the ultimate leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and he was replaced. So people can be replaced, but if they take out your military capabilities, they take out your missile depots, they take out your launch pads, and then you're going to be severely hampered and you could lose the war. And then that means everyone dies anyway.
Yeah, no, because I was trying to figure out how they did it in Tehran because like I had two scenarios: either A, they didn't put them there, or B, they put them there but they were just destroyed in the conflict. But it seems like they're coming into play now and being used now.
Yeah, yeah. They're just struggling to hit the actual real military sites. This is why I think
Because
Iran's
everyone
winning.
and their mom was saying, "Oh, we're gonna hit them really hard today," and they didn't hit them.
Yeah,
So,
because they sent the B-2 bombers and the B-2 bombers returned with their tail between their legs again because they thought that last time they went in easy hit 4 door, but I think that was agreed upon. But now they've got the as you said, the Chinese technology. They're not. This is it. China's just like literally winning in all this. They're showing that their tech is like really good. This is literally America is just losing its empire, its military might, everything. Like if you're now wanting to buy military equipment, you're probably going to go to the Chinese rather than the Americans. Because the American systems, you've seen it. Israel and the Middle East are using the American systems and they're getting tapped up. Iran's using the Chinese system and they're doing well.
Well, I told you when I was in Beijing, there was a ballistics conference there, and the people I was with they manufacture, and they're in the manufacturing of ballistics. And anyway, at dinner, we were having a dinner after cocktail hour stuff, and this American, I heard the American accent, and I said, "Well, there's an American here." And I've come to find out he was with DARPA Defense R&D, right? And I'm like, "What in the world are you doing here?" And I told him my background. We started talking. He's like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You don't think we're involved with wanting to know everything of every country?" And it seemed like there was a tremendous exchange there. But that's my point: is the technology, their technological advancements in naval power and warfare is extraordinary. It's exponential. It just overnight. The last 20 years, I've said it before. So yeah, definitely, there's a point to be made there, Sully and Myron.
Yeah, yeah, Andrew, I agree.
what are the casualties looking like, man? Because someone in my chat, who's in the service, said that he's heard reports of several missing soldiers from the region. Obviously, they're not going to say that they were KIA or whatever, but I think the number's way above eight, dude. I think eight is right now the official number, just of servicemen. That doesn't include CIA operatives or Mossad operatives or people that were killed, probably in these precise drone strikes and all across the Gulf. Which the reason why I think Dubai got hit the most, by the way, for those that are wondering, I said this earlier in my stream. I think the reason why Dubai got hit so hard is because that is probably where a lot of you know Mossad and Israeli guys were probably stationed, because the UAE is one of the few countries in the Gulf that actually recognizes Israel and is a part of the Abraham Accords, right? And it's probably the nicest place to be, honestly. It's too. Like, I would pick it too. There's a lot of bitches there, right? But regardless, that is why I think the UAE was targeted so much, is because it's good neutral ground for both Mossad and for the United States. But I think there's way more than eight servicemen that were killed, and there's probably a bunch of people from the intelligence services that were killed as well. But they're never going to say that. It's going to be classified.
Yeah, that's right. We have a report
Absolutely.
today. We have a report today that the Iraqi resistance is claiming that they've killed 13 Americans just in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
numbers.
mean,
They're,
go ahead.
they suppress. Yeah, they suppress the numbers. We've seen it happen. I spoke on it several times. They suppress. Eventually, the numbers start coming out. That's when you start seeing people get more of an uprising resistance.
Yeah, from a U.S. perspective, I mean, let's be honest. The U.S. has every single incentive to lie. This administration knows that a war is not wanted. You know, and they know that every single serviceman that's killed is gonna be, points against Trump. So I would not be surprised if they, do everything that they can in their power to not report, um, KIA numbers, because it's so. This isn't Iraq. This is a much different time. So the U.S. has every single incentive to not accurately report casualties.
In Vietnam, when the numbers started to come out, and they weren't even the true numbers, but closer to just ones and twos, to we got more of them than us. The body count thing started. When the numbers started coming out, you started hearing every day on the TV and in print media, you started to hear, hey, LBJ, how many boys did you kill today? And next thing you know, it became a mantra. People were saying that more and more, and then it was just exploded.
Yeah, yeah, and you can make the argument that the country is even more fed up with wars now. Especially in the Middle East at this point. I think, even normie Republicans, dude, are starting to realize, like, maybe we shouldn't be in the Middle East so much, man. So um, we definitely don't have the stomach for foreign conflicts, especially in the Middle East, and casualties at this point. You know, So I think unless the U.S. like has their arm twisted, they're not going to report casualties in the Middle East if they get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Myron, when you said Myron, when you said this is huge, what did you say? That this is huge about our stealth bombers going in. When that starts getting leaked out, and people start knowing the truth about that, don't you think that might have an effect? you know. So wait a minute, they're lying to us. Yeah, they sure are, people.
Yeah, well, I've noticed Pete Hegseth has been doing a lot more interviews than normal, right? Pete Hegseth is, for those that don't know, is a drunkard, cheating, married man, and he's been getting beat up in the press quite a bit. I remember when he did his confirmation hearing, they were going after him. So he kind of tries to stay away from interviews, but he's been doing a lot of press conferences. He went on 60 Minutes. Trump mentions, the war every day, and to me, I look at it like, they're doing a lot of, massaging and press coverage of something that, is wildly unpopular. And they're trying to kind of put out this narrative that, like, hey, we're dominating militarily, we can't be stopped. Iran's abilities to inflict damage are being, decimated every single day. We have air supremacy, blah blah blah, which all of that might be true, actually. So all of it might be true. Like, I'm not even refuting that, they're telling the truth on that. But what I'm saying is that they're playing chess and these other guys are playing checkers. Sorry, they're playing we're playing checkers, they're playing chess, because in the short term, yeah, we're demolishing them with king me here, king me there, but that's not the actual game. Like, we're playing two completely different games here. And I guess for showboating and, keeping people entertained and, making the American public feel better about this conflict and saying that we're dominating is one thing, and projecting power. But that's not really how this war is going to go. The Iranians knew that they were going to be dominated militarily the entire time. That's why they moved everything underground. So, um,
Myron, did you remember when Sully interviewed Colonel Davis, and Colonel Davis was saying the only thing he disagreed with was that Iran should have unleashed a lot more power day one, and Sully said, "Well, yeah, there's a reason why we don't see that shock and all up front, and it's the same thing you've been saying all along." Is they're systematically wanting to make sure that the missile defenses are deleted before they bring in the big stuff. We're seeing it right now. And it goes back to they're
Awesome.
playing chess.
Yeah, no, and the other thing too, also, from a strategic standpoint, like, think of it this way: it's all about ROI, right? So it's like, okay, do we really want to sink an aircraft carrier even though we have the capability of doing it, or we can use those, use those resources and destroy radars, right? You sink an aircraft carrier, that's like a crazy escalation, right? That's a huge escalation. You're talking about killing 3 to 4 thousand, you know, U.S. servicemen. That's going to be a problem, right? But if you just focus on destroying radars, right, and destroying strategic locations, destroying embassies, destroying military bases, destroying military infrastructure, destroying THAAD systems, Patriot systems, etc. Yeah, you're not inflicting as much carnage, right, like we are as the United States, but what are you doing? You're erasing the US's ability to project power in that region, which is far more strategically beneficial than sinking an aircraft carrier, right? Sinking an aircraft carrier, though, it looks cool and you can, say, look at us, we sunk an aircraft carrier. That's going to invite a lot of aggression from the United States. But if you destroy $1 billion radar, hey, you can make an argument that that was a better tactical move because now you don't have to worry about a crazy level of escalation. You're not killing soldiers, and you're effectively destroying American infrastructure without the loss of life. So, um, again, the Iranians are playing a different fucking game here. The U.S. is going in and just clobbering time and let's destroy things. They're going in, let's go ahead and destroy America's ability to destroy things. Big fucking difference. And it really bothers me, and I said this before, I gotta say it again. Every time I see these fucking dumbass faggots, man, these fucking dumbass YouTubers and Twitter personalities, saying, yeah, America, yeah, Trump is destroying Iran. Yeah, look at Hexed. We're not playing games. Look at us. We destroyed this and destroyed that. It's like they're so fucking dumb and they fill in the American stereotypes of being a fucking moronic retard. That, you know, America is the world superpower. We get it. We know that. But this isn't a war of superpowers and, huge damage. This is a war of attrition. This is asymmetric warfare. This is about death through 1,000 paper cuts. It's a different fucking ball game, man. And the fact that I'm seeing all these people get hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, pushing out this like very pro-war, pro-destruction propaganda, is extremely frustrating because they're brainwashing the American public to think that this is winning. It's fucking not. This is a monumental fucking L. Like monumental. We have an administration that can't give us clear, definitive objectives and objectives that actually matter, right? We have Trump talking, out of both sides of his mouth. One day it's the war is very close to being done. The next day it's, well, we can go as long as we need to. We'll do whatever we need to do. Hegseth is going on 60 Minutes, um, talking all this shit about, yeah, we're gonna be super lethal and super fast, and we're gonna kill, 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 when that's not the name of the game. And it's just like, if I'm just gonna say it, if you are only consuming American Western news like Fox or some shit like that, you're fucking stupid. You're 50 IQ. You're a dumb fuck, right? You're probably black. I don't fucking know. Or like a dumb hillbilly. So, you know, spaces like this, um, getting alternative media and being able to hear the other perspective is extremely important. And I watch everything, just so you guys know. That there's a reason why I'm pissed off at all this Fox News shit. I watch it. I literally watch it. I watch that. I watch Israeli media. I watch Iranian media, which is a lot of fucking propaganda. I'm not gonna, I'm not really picking sides here. Their propaganda is horrible. And I'm here. So like what I try to do is I try to get a conglomerate of information and put out the best analysis I can based on somewhere in the middle ground, based on all the different media sources. And what we have in America is fucking atrocious. It is boasting of our of our power, but not telling the American public what the fuck is really going on. We could sit here all day and say we're blowing up their fucking bases or we're blowing up their planes and their boats. Well, guess what, dude? Gas prices are up a fucking dollar a gallon. You know what I mean? Groceries are getting more expensive. How's that going to actually help the American people? Fucking retarded, dude. Absolutely fucking retarded.
Yeah, yeah. Myron, what's your thoughts on what's going to happen next in terms of from Trump's perspective? Because there are reports that he's looking at an exit ramp. You saw that today, allegedly, if this is true, this was meant to be his like final major bombing before he says he's won, but obviously none of that's coming to fruition. There was a senator, Democratic senator, who went into a closed door meeting for 2 hours, who was given a brief and said that they have no chance of winning. There was no clear guidelines or plans of what they're trying to achieve. And actually, if they want to take out Iran's nuclear capability, because it's underground, they'd have to do a ground invasion, and they don't want to do that. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think Trump is. I agree with you. I think Trump is looking for an off ramp, a political off ramp at this point. I think he's realized that he significantly underestimated the Iranians. He thought he'd have a weekend war, and they'd have an uprising, which really, like, like, let me be very like blunt here. Like, Trump's a retard, and I'm not even saying this like, mind you, guys, I like Donald Trump. Like, I'm a fan. I watched The Apprentice. I've always liked him. Right. I always thought he was funny. I voted for him. I'm not ashamed to admit that shit. But I can also offer like some very serious criticism. Donald Trump and his close advisors that thought that this was a good idea are a bunch of retarded fucking dumbasses. Like, did you really think that you were going to get an uprising? Because it's apparent to me that Trump took a gamble and thought that there was going to be an uprising. Like that's the only thing I could think in my mind as to why he would make this fucking horrible decision to attack Iran. He really thought if I get the Ayatollah and I kill the top 50 people of his government, there's going to be a fucking regime change. The people are going to take the streets and take their fucking country back. And it's like, dude, you tried this back in June and you failed. The Jews tried it back in June, Israel, and they failed. You tried it in January, you failed. You fucking tried to do these AstroTurf riots, they fucking arrested your people. Then you try to smuggle Starlinks in, they found the Starlinks, and then they confiscated the Starlinks that they found. And then when you did actually activate some of them, the Chinese shut it down. Like, dude, like, do you not see the writing on the wall? You already failed twice. And then he tries again with killing the thinking decapitation strike was gonna work, and it didn't. So it's very fucking clear to me that him and his entire team of war planners thought that there was going to be an uprising. It didn't come, and now they're frantically trying to fucking scramble to figure something out. And um, I'm just shocked at how they didn't see the writing on the wall that this was doomed to fucking fail, bro. Like, and you know what? We got to blame some of these. Let me take a minute to blame these diaspora retarded Iranian faggots that live in America and in the West. All you fucking dickheads. I hope someone can clip this part. All you dumbass Iranians that have a flag with the stupid ass lion on it, talking about the Shah, and we're gonna, bring the golden age back, and we're gonna be westernized again, and we're gonna get rid of this evil Ayatollah regime. You're all a bunch of retarded fucking faggots, and you guys manufactured this false ideology that the Iranian people that are actually in Iran now would turn on their government to support the Israelis and the Americans. Let me be clear about this because I already know that there's some idiot in here that's going to say, well, Myron, the Ayatollah is really bad. They kill their own people. Look, I'm not here to fucking apologize for these motherfuckers. I'm sure they do all kinds of atrocities, do all kinds of illegal shit. And I am very well aware of the fact that the government is very unliked by the Iranians on the ground. I am very aware of that. However, as much as they don't like the current regime, you know who they hate more? The Israelis and the Americans. And all you fucking retards did was make them rally around the flag. We're talking about a group of people that are getting bombed, and instead of running, they sit there, they cheer, and they wave the flags even more. And when I look at these fucking flags, they're the Iranian regime flags. They're not the stupid lion flags of the 1970s. Okay? So guys like PBD, guys like the Shah, and all these other like influential American Iranians, like they deserve to be shamed and ridiculed. And I don't think they're getting enough heat because these fucking dickheads are the ones that put the battery in the back of the stupid ass administration and others, right? Thinking that killing the Ayatollah and his top 50 guys would actually get these people to rise up and to overtake their government. It's not happening. I look on my fucking X and I see this big nose, dumb faggot retard, the Shah, right? On my feed constantly talking in Farsi about, oh, rise up, rise up. Motherfucker, you've been doing this for 8 months. You tried it back in June. You tried it again back in January. You're doing it again. Bro, nobody wants you to be the king, bro. Like, they don't want you to be the monarch. Like, just accept the fact that you're an exiled faggot loser and no one wants you there. Okay? You bent the knee to the Jews, which is a big fucking mistake because even if they hate the fucking current government, guess who they hate more? The fucking Israeli Jews, even more so. Okay? Like, they're never gonna fucking want you in power when you're over here kissing the wall with a fucking yarmulke on. Like, what is going on? These westernized Iranians are fucking stupid. And every single time I see some Iranian whore doing the stupid ass YMCA dance, saying, thank you, Trump, right? Dressed like a fucking slut. Because they're all sluts, by the way, right? Every time I see one of these 50 IQ dumb bimbos, they're never actually in Iran. Where are they? They're in Canada. They're in America. They're in fucking Italy. They're somewhere in Western Europe. They're not actually in Iran at all, right? None of these idiots with these stupid ass lion flags are in Iran. Like none of them. So it's like, bruh, you guys are out of fucking touch, out of fucking touch. And I really do think, I truly do think that the Trump administration heavily relied upon, maybe sought advisement from these individuals, right? I think that on top of really bad Israeli intelligence, I also think the Israelis gave us really bad intelligence saying, look, we're 95% certain that if we kill the Ayatollah and these 5 people, there's going to be a regime change. Get the fuck out of here, bro. The Israelis give us bad intel all the fucking time. Never forget, guys, that the reason that we went to Iraq was because of Mossad information that allegedly an Iraqi intelligence officer gave fucking anthrax to an Al Qaeda operative. That is the justifications these fucking dumb faggots used to get us to go into Iraq for a war for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. So I think between retarded Iranians that claim that the Ayatollah is so evil and that they're going to want the monarch and Shah instead, bad Israeli intelligence, and just the hubris and stupidity of the Trump administration, these 3 factors, like, is what led to the fucking horrible quagmire, this political quagmire that we're in right now, where we don't really see an easy way out. They thought this uprising was going to happen. They banked on that uprising happen. It fucking failed. And quite frankly, you know, people like PBD, the Shah, these dumbass whores dancing to YMCA, Israeli intelligence, and Trump's war cabinet are all to blame for this shit. Incredible.
Yeah, you nailed it, Myron. All the above. Ditto. And we're seeing the proof come out daily. And what enrages me is, okay, fine, they have their right to say what they want to say, but then here comes the problem: who was going to do this regime change? Let's throw in more American lives, Western lives, right? Yeah, give us. They want us to sacrifice our children on their altar of that Baal sacrifice ritual, right? They want us to shed our blood. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, dude. Like I was scrolling on my feed and I see this like dumb Iranian whore doing the fucking YMCA dance with like the short ass skirt on, saying that she's chasing a PhD. I don't know PhD in what, like in fucking being a whore. I don't know, but and she's like over here, she's like, yeah, thank you, Trump. Like, yeah, we're whatever. Meanwhile, at that point we had 6 servicemen dead. So let me get this straight: we have American soldiers dying. So some dumb whore in America can dance and say she wants to be a doctor who has zero intention of going back to Iran, by the way. This bitch is not going back to Iran, okay? But she's over here cheering a regime change that has nothing to do with her, that she's not invested in whatsoever, but she's dancing to the YMCA saying, thanks, Trump, while our servicemen die. This is the problem. You know what I mean? This is the issue. Like, dude, PBD, the Shah, all these guys that want to fucking, bring Iran back to the 1970s, where they were owned by the fucking Jews and the Americans, and they didn't have their own nationalized oil, and they let the Operation Ajax overthrow most of that, whatever. All these fucking cucks for the Jews. Like, how about you guys go grab some rifles and go fucking fight then if you want to take your country back, right? But none of them do. None of these diaspora exiled Iranians do. And as a matter of fact, the only reason they even talk about a regime change, these motherfuckers don't care. They just want to go back to Iran for like a week, take some pictures, say, I'm back, and then go back to America, wherever the fuck they came, and then never go back. None of these motherfuckers care about Iran, bro. None of them do. These dumbasses with the anytime I see someone with like an Iranian flag with a lion on it, I'm just like in my head, faggot, faggot, straight faggot. It's always whores and retards. Always whores and retards.
Yep, they come into space here. You've heard them a couple times, right, Myron? Into space, because I've been in the space for a while here, and they come in here and just rage. How dare you? You're gonna stand there and watch this? Yeah. Well, put your money where your mouth is. No, no.
Well, they've been exposed, right? Because let's be clear on this. A few key things have happened that demonstrate the opposite of what they wanted. The first thing is Trump said that he doesn't even mind there being a religious leader in charge. So clearly, the fact that it's a theocracy makes no difference. He just wants somebody who's amiable to the United States of America and Israel. The second thing is, Trump said yesterday, he said that he wants to rain, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but fire and brimstone on Iran and send them back to the Stone Age. So these diaspora who want Iran back, but they're not willing to destroy the country to do so, quite clearly is that they don't want Iran back. They just have so much hatred for the current government that they're willing to destroy Iran to appease themselves, as per what you said, just to get a week's holiday. I don't even think they want the week's holiday because they're willing for it to be destroyed. But clearly, they have no plans to return, hence the support of the destruction of it. And the third thing is the schools now. This is what the fourth or fifth school that has been I think it's the sixth or seventh school that's been hit, but like the third or fourth elementary school full of
And
girls.
and here's the scary part, Suleiman.
Yeah,
Like you take someone like PBD, right? You guys know I like PBD. I've been on the show a few times. I have respect for him, but he's dead wrong when it comes to this topic, and I'll tell you why. Him and Vinny are there talking about Iran, right? And Vinny makes this retarded comment. He says, "Oh, well, there's no foreign interference with the riots," and I was like, "What? That's demonstrably untrue, like false. Like you have Mike Pompeo talking about the Mossad walks with you. We have Israeli television where analysts are saying, yeah, these fucking agitators are pretty good, man. They're doing a good job. They're burning down the mosque. Yeah, that's awesome. These guys are professionals, right? We got um the oversight committee admitting, like getting under testimony, like sorry, sworn testimony of them admitting that they smuggled, the U.S. was involved in smuggling these Starlink devices into Iran, which is against the law, by the way. Right? The Chinese had to step in and turn them off. So, like, what do you mean there wasn't foreign interference with the riots? There 100% was, but they pushed that fucking Hasbara out, right? And the American public who doesn't know better, right? A lot of Americans that don't know how to properly, like, find, you know, credible alternative sources, which look, I get it, right? It's not easy to find. It is tough. You do have to sift through a lot of bullshit. But that's not true. But that's the propaganda that's getting pushed out there. And like, let's be honest, the average American gonna sit there and question what he said? No, they're gonna be like, oh shit, yeah, I guess there wasn't any foreign interference with these riots. These people must really hate these Iranians. Oh my God, they killed 30,000 protesters. None of that is true. None of that is true. But this was all the narrative utilized to justify attacking Iran. This is this is what it is. So these pro Shah Iranians are just as guilty, dude. Just as fucking guilty. Especially the ones that have influence, that have shows where you have tens of thousands of people watching, and they're putting out this blatant misinformation and lies. It's horrible, and I find it extremely repulsive because these lies are used in the middle to justify this stupid ass war.
exactly. And where do you, in terms of going forward, I think we've discussed this, but obviously you always have new people coming in and out all the time. Where do you, I mean, what do you see happening? Like, do you think Trump takes an exit ramp and kind of pretends he won? Do you think there's a ground invasion? Do you think there's nukes? Like, what do you think happens?
I think he's going to use nukes before he puts boots on the ground. I think he's going to use a nuke. I wouldn't be surprised if he uses a nuke. Trump, he's kind of an egomaniac. He probably wants to be the first president to use a nuke since World War II. So I wouldn't put it past him. Um, and if the nuke fails and they don't surrender, then he's going to have a serious discussion about potentially launching a ground assault. Or he drops the nuke and immediately ends the war after that, surrender or not.
Yeah, and for
But you
the
think that's
record, yep.
But
right
it's
on?
guaranteed if he drops the
But
nuke, say goodbye to non-proliferation. That's going to be a very big reality if he actually drops the nuke. No country's going to abide by the NPT or follow IAEA guidelines. At that point, it's going to say, you know what, fuck this shit. We all need a nuclear weapon. Like, clearly, the only way to protect yourself from the United States is you need to have a nuclear weapon. North Korea is a perfect example of this. They're an even more unhinged government, yet Trump doesn't fuck with them. Why? Because they have nuclear weapons.
exactly. And to clarify this, we're talking about tactical nuclear versus a strategic ICBM. Or wait, Myron, do you think it would be an ICBM launch, meaning the big ones to completely annihilate, make glass parking lots out of the cities, entire cities?
No, I
Like
think it's going to be
even
100% a tactical nuke that they're going to use to penetrate the ground. That I think is going to be used. And for those that are wondering, the reason why they're going to use a nuke for that is because apparently, and I was talking with Ahmed about this, he described it pretty well, but the way he said it to me, I'm going to try my best to simplify it, was when you use a tactical nuke, the goal here is to destroy the bunkers underground. But what'll happen is even if the nuke doesn't necessarily penetrate all the way into the bunker with the fortified concrete, what will happen is um, the sand will take on a different profile and essentially bury the bunker within it. So even if they don't destroy the bunker, it'll make it where the sand is going to encapsulate it in a way where the people that are there won't be able to escape, or they won't be able to gain entry, and obviously there's going to be like radiation. So that, from what I understand, is the next strategy as far as like how they're going to use the nuke. It's going to be used more to destroy the bunkers and create um, damage to the bunker where it's not usable.
That's why the EA6s, those Navy EA6s flying, I've already said it several times. Those are not out there to do the launch, but they're in their 24/7 communication with our SSBNs. Now, that means also that there's a heightened alert in the TACAMO, meaning the forward mission planning of nuclear forces that are out there, and that is the United States Navy being the strongest leg of the triad, nuclear deterrence. I know I'm throwing a lot of language around, but to simplify it, our SS submarines, there's two types of submarines. The type, the SSBN, that launches the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the ones that take out entire cities, and those are in communication continually 24/7, literally, with both aircraft, and we have land based also, VLF also. So, yeah, they're probably in a very, very heightened, not probably, they're in a very, very heightened alert. And those commanding officers on those submarines are getting literally minute by minute updates. And that also is a threat that Iran, Russia looks at, China. And why would Russia come out and say, oh, by the way, we have nuclear weapons? you know, that's their notice. Hey, so that's very, very unprecedented, unimaginable times we're living in.
Yeah. And Myron, so you think that the nuke is more likely than him coming to some kind of agreement?
Say that again. What was that question? Sorry.
That you think that Trump using a nuke is more likely than coming to an agreement um, with the with the Iranians?
I think it's more likely than him putting boots on the ground. I think he's going to drop a nuke first and then try to walk out that way. I think boots on the ground is the last option, just because it's so politically unliked. If he puts boots on the ground, that's the end of his political career forever, and he's going to get impeached.
And there's no evidence of boots on the ground, Myron. Again, I was in Desert Storm when at the Pentagon, and that surge was 10 times more than what we see today. And that was Iraq, not Iran. So even if he's there, that's just not there, it's just talk. That's rhetoric. Boots on the ground is rhetoric at this point.
So
It
what I
seems
mean
as
is,
though
Myron,
the Iranians attacked two ships today, huh?
yeah,
They
they
try to
did.
they try to
One
pass through
was,
the Strait of Hormuz. I'll tell you this: a barrel of oil is going to go up again.
Yeah, I got a
yeah.
lot of pushback.
Go ahead, Andrew.
No, go ahead, Sully, please, sir.
No, no, go ahead, because I was going to ask a totally
Okay.
different question.
Yeah, I got a lot of pushback on that the last couple of days. No, we'll just send in escorts. Well, no, we won't unless we want a horrific, unimaginable public affair nightmare. Any merchant, and we had that guy merchant shipping. You knew about that, right, Myron? We had a guy. He's a merchant marine, and he said, basically backing me up. He said, "There's no way a merchant captain would even think about entering, even with a slight threat of being either mined or hit, or attacked or dying, for just bringing some cargo through. Nope, that's the whole
and
purpose
and the
of that."
two and the two ships that got attacked today, guarantee no one's going to give any fucking insurance.
Yes, sir. You nailed it.
Because those two ships probably said, "Fuck it, let's try." And now that just proves, trying to cross now. It's not just the Strait of Hormuz is closed. There's a blockade on it now. Like, you can officially say there's a blockade, and it makes sense because that is a cornerstone to their strategy. So it makes sense that they would say that they're not going to let any ship through.
Absolutely.
So Myron, sorry, I was asking. So I agree with you in terms of nuke over ground invasion, but I'm asking if, do you think there's a chance that there's a nuke or Trump coming to some kind of agreement with the Iranians, so some kind of exit agreement?
He would have to. I would think that if Trump were to try to exercise some level of diplomacy, um, it's going to be they need full sanction relief, probably reparations, a permanent ceasefire, and some type of guarantee of no more Israeli aggression. I think that's the only way that the Iranians would come to a table and end this conflict. Which, to be honest with you, if Trump were able to negotiate something like that, it would probably be fucking. I think it'd be good for all parties. But is he going to do that? I mean, that would be a huge blow to his ego. So I don't know. It would be huge for diplomacy, but I don't know if he would do it. And then with the amount of pressure that the Jewish lobby has over him, I just don't foresee that happening, unfortunately.
Can I throw in the Paris Peace Accords of 1973? If you could pull that off the background and study what Nixon was doing behind the closed doors with Ho Chi Minh, right, in Vietnam, everything up front was we're going to bomb them into oblivion. We were bombing trees in Linebacker 1 and 2. But secretly, behind closed doors, he cut a deal. Yeah, you guys, you can have all Vietnam. We're going to let you have it all. It's all yours. Yeah, we're going to back out. We have to back out. But publicly, it was always we, just like Sully's been saying for weeks now, he'll come out with, we won the war, mission accomplished. But in reality, behind closed doors, no, he lost abysmally. And I think the Paris Peace Accords of 73 can make a very, very clear, good rear view mirror here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great scenario, right? Like maybe Trump's able to exchange something like, sanction relief, um, end of aggression, permanent end of aggression. Maybe we get the 60% enriched uranium, so he could walk away with a W, right? Because his entire argument the whole time has been nuclear problems. So if maybe a permanent, so this what I think would look good, where all parties can kind of save face. The Iranians get permanent sanction relief, right? And no more aggression. There'd be some type of a guarantee between the Israelis and the Iranians where they would not attack each other, right? In exchange, the Iranians hand over their highly enriched uranium to the United States, full sanction relief, and then some type of agreement where they will never attack each other again. That would be a peace deal for that would stabilize the region. But I don't know. I don't know if they would do that. But I think that's honestly the best off ramp for all parties in this case.
I don't think that's enough to stabilize the region.
Well, I mean, in the future, obviously not right now. Right, it wouldn't be immediately, but it would set a foundation for the future for sure. Because if you put some type of guarantees in place where aggression is punished, alongside sanction relief, and then also the uranium, everybody gets what they want. The Israelis are able to get their not getting attacked with ballistic missiles anymore. The Iranians get their sanction relief, and then the United States can say, hey, look, we got the highly enriched uranium. They're not going to have a nuclear bomb, right? Everyone's able to kind of walk away with something tangible.
More than likely, like Simon and them explained earlier, that Iran's probably going to demand that they cancel all the West Bank settlement expansions and all the illegal settlements, and more than likely give Palestine
Yeah,
a
but then
state.
that deal would never. There's the reason why I left all the Palestine stuff out. That none of that would get accepted by the Israelis. Being realistic here, I gave a peace plan that I think like could potentially work. That would be somewhat realistic, but the Israelis are not going to bend or concede anything when it comes to the Palestinian question.
Yeah, I'm kind
Unfortunately.
of I'm kind of like you. I think that it's just so easy for Trump to use that tactical nuke that he's going to be looking at it like, all right, back out, lose, or spend billions. I mean, spend trillions, or use these tactical nukes, and it's going to be a no-brainer for him at least.
But you know what, public, Myron, it just dawned on me. We also are looking at inventory again. Without going into detail, I don't think our tactical nuclear inventory is unlimited. That's another thing because they have how many, who knows how many of these underground bunker complex systems. Sully's estimate in his interviews over 20,000. Okay, that's total missile inventory, 20,000 plus plus. And how many? You'd have to be launching a lot of tacticals, nukes. But I guess what you're saying is one may send a message, but I don't know. I don't know. This is such a unimaginable quagmire here.
And like I never been to the country, but based off research, I see that it's all mountainous terrain, and you could get really creative.
Yeah, I like that's a good choice of words. Really creative, baby. And it's for that asymmetrical 5D chess, baby. U.S. walked into a nightmare, and that's why my dear Vice Admiral Fletcher and Alvin Halsey, two admirals, have one resigned and the other was fired. And how many others have been fired because Trump had to have his yes man, his lapdogs in there, because he knew that a good, honest military strategist would never approve of this. Never.
So you're saying that's why they put Steve Hegseth?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why the humiliation ritual at Quantico, Virginia. I've repeated that so many times. I, would never. I was just enraged when I listened to that. I watched it twice, and I even went back and analyzed segments of what he was saying. It was a humiliation like I've never seen or imagined, where they were humiliated by that little. I know I have a dear friend of mine. He's a retired Green Beret colonel, Green Beret, and we were just enraged by it. He's like, listen to what he's saying. It went over a lot of people's heads because of course you have different professions, but I can't get the best example I could give. Would be like this. Let's say you've been with a corporate, you've achieved the highest levels of corporate, and you're the CEO, and then you have some intern walk in and just chew your ass out and say, "Now listen to me, bitch. This is how we're going to run things." It was that shocking.
Josie, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
I have a question. So if the US nukes Iran, what happens after this? Does the US just get to fly home? Like what do you guys think Iran would do in response? I'm curious. Like that's it. They get to nuke Iran and fly back to the USA. That's it.
That's $1 million question, dear heart, and we all know the answer. No, they won't. They'd go to the last person alive. Would do anything and everything possible. Would be hell. But Russia, here's the bigger question. Do you think Russia's going to sit by and watch that, or China? Nope. There would be eye for eye. There would be quid pro quo there. And one thing to put things kind of in check here, I'm sure the Russian diplomats and U.S. diplomats, they're talking, and that's why the Russian diplomat made that strong, or I even think it was the president made a very strong point there. Putin's guy made a strong point. We have nuclear weapons, folks. Now, why would he say that? They're telling the U.S., don't do it. Yeah, Americans were shocked. In 75 was a very gut wrenching time. Nixon was and Kissinger were both speaking at the same time of how we achieved victory. We won this war. We're getting out of this Vietnam War. We've lost 57,000 lives of our young men and women and men died in the war, but we won. And I was like, what? We won? And then over a million Vietnamese died, by the way, but we won that. Yeah, right. But that's the deal. They cut behind closed doors, and that's when Simon and all them are talking. The finance, the deals are working. Like, okay, you can get everything you want, Iran. That's what we did to Vietnam. They took everything, and by the way, we're going to do this and this and this for you. You're set. But then we put them in a starvation mode because we withdrew, put sanctions on them behind closed doors afterwards. In 1986, what a banker with a pen did in Vietnam achieved more than 57,000 American lives when they signed in the Doi Moi, bringing himself under the IMF. And that's the other thing. I think Iran, of course, knows that. So they know ultimately they're not going to play the game. This is unprecedented times. I know I keep repeating myself. The only exit ramp Trump has is to say, we have victory. But in reality, no, Iran won. And I mean won big time. And they will definitely, how are they going to, how will they enforce that? You know, you need to enforce whatever deals made, you have to have enforcement. So the only sanction or enforcement would be Russia and China coming to the table and saying, "Okay, listen up. You America really good. You won. Okay, they're not going to do nuclear weapons, but then they are. They'll eventually, I think, get nukes. I think they'll definitely sanctions will be lifted. There will be reparations, but in the front for the average Joe, we won the war. But in reality, no. Iran will get exactly what they want. I believe.
Yeah, hopefully that comes with a free Palestine too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I think that'll happen, but I know why Myron's pushing back against that because of the Israelis saying absolutely not. But when you're losing thousands of people, and I'm going to go by now, we're into the thousands of fatalities, and I'll say casualties in Israel, but we're only being told dribbles. But reality, Netanyahu probably is in a 20. He probably absolutely cannot sleep. He's losing his mind right now because he knows he's in a lose-lose situation. He is screwed. They are screwed. God brought that evil empire into derision. There's no doubt in my mind. And
I
all
feel
the
like Myron takes